Today we're going to take a look at René Descartes' Meditations on First Philosophy, although we're only looking at Meditations 1 and 2. Hopefully you didn't read 3, 4, 5, and 6. First, a bit of background. A lot of what's in Descartes is focused on the idea of knowledge, of certainty about truth. So, a couple of bits of terminology. Skepticism is a term that we tend to throw around pretty loosely, but in philosophy it has a technical meaning. To be a philosophical skeptic is to say that nobody could ever know anything with certainty concerning some given kind of thing, including whether that thing exists. So, if you are a philosophical skeptic about something, then what you believe is that nobody can know with certainty anything about that thing, including whether there is such a thing. And people have been philosophical skeptics about all kinds of things. You might be a philosophical skeptic about God, which means you believe that nobody can know anything about God, can't know anything about God's qualities, properties, or even existence. The word we have for that is agnosticism. An agnostic is a philosophical skeptic about God. Maybe you're a philosophical skeptic about moral properties. So nobody can really know whether something is good or bad. It might be that things are good and bad, but we can't know it. Maybe you're a philosophical skeptic about other people's minds, which is just to say that maybe other people are automatons. Maybe they don't actually have minds, they just behave like they have minds. We're going to talk more about this in a later class. Okay, so you could be a philosophical skeptic about pretty much any kind of thing. Then there's what's called classical philosophical skepticism. Classical philosophical skepticism says that excluding sense data and tautologies, nobody can really know anything about anything. In this case, knowledge of sense data includes only the knowledge that you're seeing a field of color, not that there are colored objects in front of you or that you're hearing modulating sounds, not that those sounds are my voice. So, a classical philosophical skeptic would say, yes, I can know that I see color, but I can't know that there's some object that is that color. A tautology is something that is just true by definition. So I can be a classical philosophical skeptic and know that the next triangle I will see will have 3 sides because that's just what it means to be a triangle. But if I am a classical philosophical skeptic, I would say that I can't also know that there actually are any triangles in the world, or indeed that there is a world. Okay, so let's drop into Descartes, first meditation. Descartes' project is a kind of foundationalism in the sciences. So Descartes is writing at the birth of modern science. He and a handful of other philosophers want a system for studying the world that will guarantee knowledge of the world. And the system that had been used up to that point, that had been inherited originally from Aristotle, had a lot of problems. Most centrally, that it couldn't guarantee anything like knowledge. Okay, so we're talking about science. Let's talk about an area of science, sociology. It's a soft science, but it's a science. Sociology is the study of how humans behave in large groups. But if you want to say that you know sociology, you know why people behave as they do in groups, then you better also know why people behave at all. And we have a science for that. It's called psychology. Psychology is the study of human behavior, the science of human behavior. Okay, so if you want to know sociology, really know it, then you'd better know psychology. But if you've studied psychology long enough, ultimately you find out you're just studying the brain. You're just studying biology. If you want to say you know why people behave the way they do, you'd better know biology. You'd better know what it is about the brain that's doing that. Okay, well, if you study biology long enough, you find out that you're just studying charts and equations. You're just doing chemistry. If you want to say that you really know biology, you'd better know chemistry, because biology ultimately comes down to chemistry. Okay, so chemistry is the study of how elements interact with each other. But ultimately, how elements interact with each other is determined by physics. So, if you want to say that you understand chemistry, that you know chemistry, you'd better know physics. You'd better know why the chemicals work the way they do, why the elements interact the way they do. Okay, well, you're going to have a hard time in physics if you don't know math. If you want to say you know physics, you'd better know math. Knowledge in physics requires knowledge in math. But math isn't the bottom either. If you want to understand why math works the way that math works, you'd better understand logic. Logic is at the base of all of this. Okay, so sociology depends on psychology. Knowledge in psychology depends on biology. Knowledge in biology depends on chemistry, and all the way down to fundamental logic. So, Descartes is looking for a way to secure knowledge in this stack of information. Now, sociology and psychology wouldn't have existed at the time, so we're really just worried about the others. Okay, so how do we secure knowledge here? Descartes' method for finding a foundation to knowledge in the sciences is called the method of doubt. Descartes says that he will suspend judgment on anything for which he has the slightest reason for doubt. He's only going to accept those things, he says, for which he has clear and distinct ideas. Now, unlike the bar that's set in American courtrooms, Descartes is not going to be satisfied with beliefs that survive reasonable doubt. To say that he knows something, it has to survive what he calls hyperbolic doubt. This is doubt that's well beyond what's reasonable. If you want to say you really know it, you can be absolutely certain about it. There can't be any room for doubt. If you've ever been screwed over by a friend, then you know you can never really trust them again. Descartes feels the same way about everything. He says, it's prudent never to trust completely those who have deceived us even once. What Descartes is looking for is the indubitable, something that is absolutely undoubtable, something that is beyond all doubt. So, using the method of doubt as a basis for the sciences, Descartes looks to tear away everything, tear down until he finds knowledge, something he can be absolutely sure about, something that is beyond doubt. And then he's going to build the sciences up again from that which cannot be doubted. So nothing, he says, that was once believed is simply outside the realm of doubt. We can doubt anything. Anything is subject to this consideration. So Descartes talks about the fallibility of our senses, how we're quite susceptible to illusions. So let's take a look at an illusion. Before you are two circles, two perfectly round circles. One circle is inside the other. The two circles are not touching. But it doesn't look like that. Use your finger. Start on one point on the image and trace it around. You'll figure out that you're looking at two circles, but you still don't see two circles. Maybe this helps. I'll outline them. Kind of, but still no, not really. Okay, how about I fill them in with a different color? How about now? Well, yeah, okay, now we've got a couple of circles. No problem. Okay, so your eyes trick you. You think you know something that you don't know. Now you might say, my eyes might be tricked by the occasional optical illusion, or my ears might be tricked by some auditory illusion, but my senses generally do me pretty well. They get me around in the world and I don't fall in a lot of holes. But do they? How do you know there is a world around you? How do you know you aren't dreaming? How do you know you haven't always been dreaming? How do you know you aren't in the matrix? The problem, Descartes says, is there's no way to know. If I can't know that what I see in front of me is real because it might just be a dream, then I can't actually know anything about the world. And there's no reliable way to check whether it is real or if it's just a bunch of data being fed into my mind. So this gives us an argument. Descartes' argument for skepticism of knowledge from sense experience. First premise. Because we have no reliable method for error correction, we can't be certain that we're not dreaming, or deluded, or brains in vats. We can't be certain we're not in the matrix. If we can't be certain that we're not dreaming, or deluded, or brains in vats, then we cannot be certain that what we sense is real. If we cannot be certain that what we sense is real, then we cannot acquire knowledge through sense experience. So, we cannot acquire knowledge through sense experience. Here's why this is a problem. All of these sciences depend on observing the world. We go out and we look at stuff and we come back and we collate our data and we go out and we look at more stuff and we poke it with sticks. These are called the empirical sciences. So, since they all depend on our senses, on observing the world, if we can't trust the knowledge that we get through our senses, we can't trust these sciences. Uh-oh. Now, I know what you're saying. Thank God for math and logic. But there's a problem here too. Descartes suggests the possibility of an all but all-powerful malevolent entity who makes us believe the matrix is reality. He calls this thing the evil demon. The possibility of the evil demon gives us reason to doubt math and logic. So the question is it possible that some all but all-powerful entity exists who tricks us so that every time we go to do something as simple as addition, it makes us get it wrong, but also makes us really, really sure that we got it right. It makes us really, really sure that 2 plus 2 is 4. It makes all of us really, really sure that 2 plus 2 is 4 every time, but it's not, because it's 17. Now, this might seem like an outrageous idea, but it's actually pretty mundane. Let's watch a video.
Let me go talk to this lady here. Hello, hi, what's your name?
Treva.
Treva. Treva, I wonder if I could ask you to just close your eyes and sleep and relax. And I'd like you in just a moment to forget the number 7, just for the purpose of this demonstration for a few minutes. So you'll be able to count and say and think all the other numbers, but you can't count, say, think the number 7. So eyes open, wide awake. Treva, how many fingers do you have?
10.
10. Let's count them, shall we? If you just put your hands out, let's count them together, shall we?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11.
11. So you got 11 fingers. Hang on, wait. Let's just check this. How many have we got on this hand? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And on this hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 and 5 is 10. But let's just check again, shall we? 1, 2,
3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10,
11. There we go. 11.
Why? Can you ask her? Why? I don't even know if I should interact with her. It's just, I'm worried about you didn't say the number 7.
It's like you think it, but you can't say it. I mean, it's so strange. I understand what you're saying.
Right.
I certainly understand, but you think it, but you can't say it. It doesn't come out. I mean, it's strange. It's strange.
I don't know if I don't know what's going on. These two people are still asleep over here.
That cheap stage hypnotist made that woman forget the number 7. If a cheap stage hypnotist can do that, then surely an all but all-powerful entity could do something like that to all of us. Now, Is it likely that the evil demon exists? No. But is it possible? Yes. And that's enough to make us doubt the veracity of math and logic. Uh-oh. So, is nothing certain? We were looking for a foundation to the sciences, and we just lost certainty about math and logic, the bottom of the stack. Is there nothing left? Is nothing certain? Descartes says that he can doubt the existence of his body and his senses because he only knows about his body through his senses, through his sense data, and he could be wrong about that. But does that mean that he should doubt the existence of himself? This leads us to a very famous argument in philosophy, what's called the cogito. All physical stuff, including our own bodies, is experienced through the senses, and the senses are fallible. They get stuff wrong. But Descartes notes that the activities of the mind are immediately perceived. I only know what color something is in the world because my senses give me that information. But I don't depend on my senses to know what my own thoughts are, to know what my own emotions are, my own beliefs. I have immediate access to my own mind. So Descartes can be deceived or mistaken about the thought that there's a blue thing in front of him, but he can't be mistaken that he is thinking. Doubting is confirming. Doubting is just a kind of thinking. So to doubt that you are thinking just confirms that you are thinking. That is such a sexy move because we did it. We found the indubitable. We found something that it's impossible to doubt. You can't doubt that you're thinking because to doubt that you're thinking just confirms that you're thinking. But wait, there's more. There's no thinking without a thinker. Thinking is a property of something, and properties don't just exist on their own. Surely, Descartes says, I must exist if it's me who is convinced of something. Surely I exist since I am deceived. So the cogito goes like this. I doubt, therefore I think, therefore I am. Cogito is just short for cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. Okay, that's pretty good. But the next question is, what kind of thing am I? Descartes says, I thought I had physical attributes. I thought I had shape. I thought I had color. I thought I took up space. I thought I had senses. But all of these things apparently are open to doubt. But what I cannot doubt is that there is thinking. What I cannot doubt is that I am the thinker. That's the one thing that I can be sure that I have. All the other stuff might just be an illusion. My entire body might just be an illusion. It might all just be in my mind. The whole thing could just be a dream. But the one thing that doesn't seem to be an illusion is the fact that I'm a thinking thing. I am a thinking, doubting, imagining, sensing thing. That's the one thing and the only thing, Descartes says, that he can be sure about himself. So that would be his essence. Remember, your essence is what you can't lose without ceasing to exist. It's the quality you can't take away from me without my winking out of existence. All the other qualities are subject to doubt. They might not even be there. The one thing that seems certainly there is that he's thinking. If you took that away, he's got nothing left. Okay, good, that sounds nice. But Descartes says, I can't help noticing that I have more clear and distinct ideas for physical objects, for things that I can grasp, than I do for this thinking thing that I am. Okay, so let's talk about physical objects. Descartes is actually writing the Meditations while he's snowed in a blizzard in the 18th century in an apartment in Germany. And, there's no internet, there's no radio, that hasn't been invented yet. The newspaper probably hasn't come in days. He's probably read all the books. So he's left to entertain himself. And what he's got is a ball of wax. And, I suspect, a pretty hefty glass of brandy. Okay, a ball of wax will do. It's got all the sort of qualities that you expect any physical object to have. It has shape, it has color, it has texture, it has size, and so on. But the funny thing about a ball of wax is, if you've ever played with a ball of wax because the internet was out or the power's down, when it gets warm, it starts to change. It's malleable. It starts to change shape. It becomes squishy. But more than that changes. It changes texture. It becomes smoother. The color changes too. It becomes usually lighter colored. And the reason it gets lighter colored is because it's getting bigger. Warm things grow. It also smells. When it grows and gets warm, it releases a smell. That's why we have candles. Okay. So it changes its size, it changes its shape, it changes its color, it changes its texture, it changes its smell. But through all of that, Descartes is still holding the same ball of wax. The only thing that hasn't changed is the fact that the ball of wax takes up space. The word for that is extension. If the ball of wax no longer took up space, if it no longer had extension, then you wouldn't have a ball of wax anymore. You wouldn't have anything. So Descartes suggests extension is the physical object's essence. And the same thing seems to be true about all of the stuff outside of me, including my own body. My essence is that I'm a thinking thing. Its essence is that it's an extended thing. So Descartes has now set up the basis for what's called Cartesian dualism. Cartesian means it's of Descartes, and dualism means there are two kinds of things. In this case, physical objects and, well, Descartes himself. More commonly, we refer to bodies and minds. Now, of course, at this point, he still has reason to doubt the existence of his own body because he still has reason to doubt the existence of the physical world at all. That doesn't mean he doesn't believe he has a body. He does believe he has a body. It's just that, according to the standard that he set up earlier, he can't know it yet. Later on, when he's a little further into the brandy, in Meditation 3, he's going to attempt to prove the existence of God and use that proof to prove the existence of the material world. But we'll leave that for another class. Okay, so Cartesian dualism is the view that there are two kinds of things. If two things have different essences, they're different sorts of things because their existence depends on different things. In the case of physical objects, they're extended things. Their essence is to be extended, to take up space. In the case of minds, they are thinking things. They might not be extended at all. They might not take up any space. So, we have two kinds of objects with two kinds of essences. The essence of the mind is that it's thinking, and it is immediately perceptible. I have direct access to my own mind. I don't have to rely on the veracity of my senses to get the job done. Physical objects are perceived via the senses, which are fallible. They're going to get stuff wrong. Okay, so this is a metaphysical position. It's a position on what kind of stuff exists. And for Descartes, there are two kinds of stuff. There's actually a third kind of stuff because Descartes believes in the existence of God, and God is neither a mind nor a body, but we'll put that aside. Okay, so what's curious is that despite there being two kinds of things, somehow that non-physical mind can produce physical effects in the body and outside the body, and presumably vice versa. If I poke you in the arm, you feel a sensation in your mind. So the question of how that happens is called the problem of consciousness. and it's still a really big problem in philosophy today. Okay, so we've got some questions to deal with. First, what is the mind? Is it just the mechanisms of the brain? Is it something absolutely distinct from the body? What is it? What does it matter if you are just a physical being? What hangs on this? What's the outcome if you are merely physical? What's the outcome if you have a physical part and a mental part? Descartes would say, strictly speaking, you are a mind and you have a body. Is there something privileged about the body, specifically the brain, being biological? Why would it matter?